Imagine waking up one morning and the sun is gone, not gone completely, but glowing, cold, and blue, casting no warmth, no shadows, just endless twilight. The birds stop singing, the air turns to frost, and no one knows why. This isn't a story from a movie. It really happened in the year 536 CE, the darkest year in human history. For 18 months, the world was trapped under a mysterious fog that blotted out the sun, and what followed changed humanity forever. You probably watched those movies set in medieval times, peasants covered in dirt, life looking rough. But somehow, things still move on. The sun still shines, the crops still grow, people still manage to survive. But here's what those movies never show you. What if one morning, the sun didn't shine the way it used to? Not completely gone, but changed. Imagine waking up, stepping outside, and seeing the sun glowing blue, barely bright enough to light your hand in front of your face. And it stays that way, not for a day, not even for a week, but for a year and a half. Most people think life in medieval times was brutal, but they have no clue, because in the year 536 CE, something happened, something so devastating, so beyond imagination, that historians now call it the worst year to be alive in all of human history. A strange, ghostly fog rolled across Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia. It blocked out the sun for 18 long months. This wasn't a storm or a passing cloud. It was a thick, haunting mist that never lifted, turning daytime into an endless, eerie twilight. And the most terrifying part, no one knew what caused it. No one knew when it would end. And absolutely no one was ready for what followed. So yeah, if you enjoy these kinds of strange and haunting stories before bed, hit that like or subscribe button and tell me in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is there. It's wild seeing people from places like Australia and Norway all tuned into the same story. All right, tonight we're traveling back to the year 536 CE. Before we start, get comfortable, seriously. Grab your pillow, fix your blanket, and get cozy. You're going to need it. Congratulations, you've just woken up in the Byzantine Empire, March of 536. You're lying on a straw mattress, nothing like the memory foam you're used to. This one's basically a sack stuffed with dry plants your family gathered last autumn. It crunches when you move, pokes you in weird spots. And let's be honest, a few bugs call it home. But you've learned to live with that. Something feels off. Normally, dawn brings a soft golden light through the wooden shutters of your one-room house. But today, it doesn't. The rooster crowed, but no sunlight followed. Maybe it's just a cloudy morning, you think. You've seen storms before. Your father stands by the door, staring outside with a puzzled expression. Your mother kneels by the small fire in the center of the room, poking the embers as smoke curls through the hole in the thatched roof. "What is it?" she asks, noticing the look on your father's face. He shakes his head. "Come look." You step outside, and that's when you see it. The sky looks wrong. It's morning, but the world feels trapped in twilight. And the sun, it's not golden. It's blue, pale, cold, and dim, more like a full moon than the bright, life-giving sun you've known all your life. "Is it an eclipse?" you ask. Your father shakes his head slowly. Eclipses don't last this long, and the sun doesn't turn blue. Around you, the rest of the village begins to gather, people stepping out of their homes, gazing upward, whispering in confusion and fear. No one's ever seen anything like it. She's pushing 60, ancient for your time. She's survived famines, wars, and outlived 3 husbands. It's the end times, she declares, her voice trembling. Just like the prophets warned, darkness upon the land. Your father rolls his eyes. Oh, come on, Elena. You said the same thing when that 2-headed calf was born 5 years ago. She glares back. And tell me, boy, have things gotten any better since then? Elena doesn't back down. Emperor, raising taxes, Goths and Vandals stirring up trouble in every corner, and now this. She waves her hand toward the pale blue sun, her face grim. Mark my words. You glance at your father. He tries to keep his expression steady, but you can tell he's worried, really worried, and that's terrifying, because your father never looks uncertain. Like most families in your village, yours are farmers. You grow barley and a few vegetables, keep a handful of chickens and a single goat. Everything you have depends entirely on the weather, on the sun. You're about 10 years old enough to help with the animals and collect eggs each morning. But today, something's off. The chickens came out for a moment, then hurried back into the coop, restless and clucking. Animals always seem to sense when something isn't right. What does it mean? You ask quietly, tugging on your father's rough homespun tunic. He hesitates. I don't know. That answer chills you more than the air. Your father always knows. He clears his throat. Come on, we'd better get to work anyway. The fields won't plow themselves. But even as he says it, you can feel the cold biting your fingers. It's not freezing like winter, but for March, it shouldn't feel like this. You breathe out, and small clouds form in the air. It's freezing, your mother mutters, pulling her shawl tight around her shoulders. How can it be this cold? Yesterday felt like spring. You go about your chores, but the whole day feels wrong. The goat keeps pacing, stamping its hooves. The chickens refuse to leave their coop. And the village itself, it's quiet. Too quiet. No birdsong, no buzzing insects, just stillness. By what should be midday, the light hasn't improved. If anything, it's darker. The blue sun hangs weakly above, like a ghost refusing to fade. You squint at the ground, and that's when you notice. Look, you whisper. No shadows. Your father stops digging and looks down. He turns slowly, scanning the ground. You're right. None of you have shadows. The light is too faint to cast any. You've never seen, or even imagined, a world without shadows. Later that afternoon, a traveler passes through the village. His clothes are dusty, his voice hoarse. He says it's the same in Constantinople, the great city 2 days away. Even there, the sun burns blue. Emperor Justinian himself has ordered lanterns lit in the palace during the day. Some claim it's divine punishment, a curse for the emperor's endless wars. Others whisper about dark magic, saying Persian sorcerers have cast spells against the Byzantine Empire. That night, your family huddles close around the fire. The air feels sharper, colder than it should. You pile on extra blankets, but the chill seems to sink right through them. Your mother hasn't said much all day. Finally, she speaks what everyone's been afraid to ask. What if the sun doesn't come back? What happens to the crops? Your father stares into the flames for a long time. Then he says softly, "The sun will return. It has to." But the way his voice cracks makes you doubt it. 3 days pass, nothing changes. The blue sun still hangs overhead. The light stays dim. The cold lingers. People in the village are starting to panic. Whispers spread about omens and signs from heaven. 2 families have already packed their carts and left, heading south where they've heard the sky isn't as dark. Your father meets the other men near the village well. You follow quietly, pretending to chase a chicken so you can listen in. My wheat hasn't grown at all, says 𝙃𝙧, the man with the biggest farm. Not an inch in 3 days. It's like the land's frozen solid. Same here, another farmer mutters. My barley hasn't moved either. And have you noticed? No insects, none. Not a single one on the plants. Your father crosses his arms. We should send someone to the city, he says. Find out what the officials know. 𝙃𝙧 snorts. Officials? They won't tell peasants anything. 𝙃𝙧 lets out a bitter laugh. No point. Stephanos passed through yesterday, coming from the city. Says it's just as bad in Constantinople. People lighting lamps at midday, priests leading prayers right in the streets. A quiet voice speaks up. 𝙔𝙤𝙪𝙧, the man who almost never talks during these meetings. I heard a merchant say it's the same everywhere, he murmurs. All the way to Persia. The men fall silent. If it's happening everywhere, then there's nowhere to run, no safe place to escape whatever's taken hold of the sun. That night, you lie in bed, pretending to sleep while your parents whisper in the corner of the room. We should count what food we have left, your mother says softly. If the crops don't grow, they'll grow, your father interrupts quickly. The sun will come back. But what if it doesn't? Not in time. She presses. The grain from last harvest won't last past summer, even if we're careful. Your father sighs. Then we'll find other food, fish from the river, game from the forest. Everyone will be thinking the same thing, she replies. There won't be enough for all of us. You pull your blanket tighter, trying not to listen, but you can't block out their voices. You've never heard them sound so frightened before. A week crawls by. The endless twilight continues. You're starting to get used to the dim bluish glow, but the cold keeps getting worse. Each morning now, frost coats the ground. In March, when the earth should be waking to spring, out in the fields, the barley and vegetables show no signs of growing. Some are already shriveling, turning gray at the edges. Your father's begun setting traps in the woods, something he usually saves for the harshest part of winter. Your mother has started stretching what little grain remains, grinding up old corn husks and mixing them into the bread. It tastes bitter, but no one dares complain. In the village, the atmosphere has darkened along with the sky. People snap at each other over the smallest things. 2 men even came to blows over whose turn it was to use the grinding stone. The head man had to step in before it turned bloody. 10 days after the darkness began, a group of soldiers rides into the village, Byzantine troops, servants of Emperor Justinian, marching west. Their armor glints dully in the strange blue light, and their faces are drawn tight, eyes tired. Your father and a few other men approach cautiously. Peasants and soldiers don't mix well. Soldiers have a reputation for taking what they want and calling it taxes. What news from the capital? Your father asks the leader, a broad man with a scar cutting across his cheek. The soldier glances up at the sky. Same as here, he says grimly. The emperor's got his scholars trying to explain it. Some say it's ash from a great fire mountain in the north. Others call it the breath of a dragon. He shrugs. All I know is, darkness or no darkness, we're still ordered to fight the Goths in Italy. And the crops, someone calls out. The soldier's expression hardens. In Constantinople, nothing's growing. Food's already 10 times the usual price. The emperor's ordered grain ships from Egypt, but... He trails off. He doesn't need to finish. Everyone knows what happens in the cities when food runs short. When the soldiers finally leave, taking a share of the village's precious grain as imperial tax. The headman gathers everyone in the square. His face looks older, heavier than before. "We need to think carefully," he says, his voice echoing through the crowd. "If the crops won't grow, we survive on what's stored. From this day forward, everything is rationed, no waste, no exceptions. And we send groups to the forest every morning for mushrooms, berries, anything edible." A woman's voice rises from the back. "What about the city? Should we go there?" The headman shakes his head slowly. "No, if the stories are true, it's worse there than here." "The cities will starve first," the headman continues grimly. "Better to stay here, where at least we have land, and the forest." As the villagers begin to disperse, you notice how they avoid each other's eyes. No one says it aloud, but you can feel it. Everyone's already thinking about their own family, silently counting how much food they have left, and how long it might last. That night, you wake to shouting outside, angry voices, the crackle of torches. Your father grabs his pitchfork and heads for the door. Your mother pulls you back behind her. Through a narrow gap in the wood, you see flickering light outside and the shadow of a crowd. Someone's broken into the village storehouse, the one where the seed grain is kept. The headman and a few others have cornered the thief. It's Ďmitry, a man whose family only moved here last year. "My children are starving," he cries as they hold him down. "What was I supposed to do?" "We're all going to be hungry," the headman replies grimly. "But if we eat the seed grain now, there'll be nothing to plant when the sun returns." Ďmitry spits on the ground. "If it returns, my family can't wait for if." The crowd murmurs. Everyone knows the punishment for stealing seed grain is harsh. It's considered stealing the future. In normal times, Ďmitry might have been banished, or worse. But these aren't normal times. 3 days in the stocks, the headman declares. And your family's rations will be cut for a week. 3 days in the stocks, the headman declares. And your family's rations will be cut for a week. A mix of gasps and silence follows. The sentence feels both cruel and merciful. Cruel, because 3 days outside in this cold could kill a man. Merciful, because everyone knows the punishment could have been far worse. Days slide into weeks. The eerie twilight becomes almost normal, at least as normal as endless dusk can be. Your eyes have adjusted to the dim blue world, but the cold keeps deepening. It's now April, when flowers should be blooming and the air should be warm. Yet every morning, frost coats the ground. The fields lie stunted, the young plants shriveled. Your family's food is running out. Everyone's thinner now. Your mother insists she's not hungry. But you've seen her quietly skip meals, pretending. She's giving her share to you. The forest helps, but barely. You find mushrooms, a few early berries, and your father's traps catch an occasional rabbit. Still, it's never enough. Travelers bring grim news. Everywhere, from Hispania to Persia, the same pale sun hangs in the sky. Crops are failing, famine is spreading, and the Byzantine Empire, already weakened by Emperor Justinian's wars in the west, is struggling just to feed its people. Then, one cold morning, you wake to find your father gone. He's joined the hunting party, your mother explains. They're going deeper into the forest this time, farther than usual. They'll be gone a few days. While he's away, you take on more work. You tend the small vegetable patch, checking each wilted leaf, hoping, begging for something to grow. You collect the few eggs your confused hens still lay. You follow your mother to the forest edge, searching for anything edible. Roots, herbs, even bark. On the third day, after your father leaves, you're out gathering firewood near the tree line. When you hear a soft rustle, you freeze. Then you see it, a deer, a young doe, standing between the trees, watching you warily. In normal times, this would be a miracle. Deer almost never come this close to the village. But these aren't normal times. The poor creature looks half-starved, its ribs visible even from a distance. The same hunger that's gripping the people has reached the forest too. You stand perfectly still, barely daring to breathe. This could feed your family for days, maybe longer. But you have no weapon, no bow, no spear, nothing but the bundle of sticks in your hands. The deer locks eyes with you for a long, breathless moment. Then, without a sound, it turns and slips back into the forest, vanishing like a ghost between the trees. Later, when you tell your mother, she just sighs. The animals are starving too, she says quietly. Everything is. She trails off, unable to finish the sentence. That night, lying on your straw mattress, you stare up at the thatched roof above. The faint glow of the dying fire flickers across the walls. You can't stop thinking, will the sun ever come back? Will the crops grow again? Or is this it now? A world of cold, dim light, and hunger. Your father returns the next day with the hunting party. They look worn down, faces pale and hollow. Between 5 men, they've managed to bring back only 1 small boar and a few scrawny squirrels. 4 days of hunting for almost nothing. The forest's empty, your father tells your mother later when he thinks you're not listening. The animals are gone, hiding or dead. And we weren't the only ones out there. We saw groups from other villages, even a few who looked like city folk. Your mother's voice trembles. What are we going to do? He doesn't answer right away. The silence stretches before he finally mutters. We might have to go to Constantinople. The emperor won't let the capital starve, not while there's food anywhere in the empire. The idea hits you like a stone. Leave home. You've never been farther than the nearby market town. The city of Constantinople is a day's journey away, a place you've only heard about in stories. A city of towering walls, shining domes, and the great church of Hagia Sophia, where the light of 1,000 candles is said to glow brighter than the sun. And yet, the thought of food, real food, not bitter acorn bread or watery soup, sounds almost too good to believe. The next day, the headman calls another meeting in the village square. Everyone gathers, faces pale in the strange blue light. The imperial tax collectors will be here soon, he says grimly. They'll expect their share of our harvest, darkness or no darkness. A man shouts from the crowd, his voice sharp with anger. Harvest? We barely have enough to keep our families alive. How can we give anything to the emperor? The headman looks tired, older than before. We have no choice, he says. If we refuse, they'll take it by force and punish us besides. Your father steps forward. Then what are we supposed to do? Sit here and starve while the empire eats what little we have left? No one answers. The silence says everything. 2 days later, as the dim blue sun rises, if you can even call it that, your family makes a decision. Staying means death. Leaving might mean a chance, like many others in the village. You'll go to Constantinople. The city will be dangerous, crowded, and desperate. But at least there's hope that somewhere behind those massive walls, food still exists. You pack what little you can carry. A few clothes, your mother's bronze cooking pot, a small sack of grain, and a knife. Your father trades your goat to Nicholas for a tiny handcart, one you'll pull yourselves, since there's no horse left to spare. On the morning of your departure, you step outside and take one last look at your home. The dimness hasn't lifted. If anything, it's worse. The haze thicker, the blue sun weaker. The fields that should be green with new life lie brown and dead. As your family joins the road, you see dozens of others, farmers, families, children, all walking the same direction. Carts creak under meager loads, and the air hums with the sound of quiet despair. Everyone's heading for the city, clinging to the same fragile hope, survival. You glance back one last time at your village, the only world you've ever known, then turn toward the horizon, toward Constantinople and the unknown. You've never known real hunger before, or real fear, but as you look at the faces around you, thin, hollow, determined, you realize something deep in your chest. This isn't the end. It's only the beginning. The darkness that began in March of 536 CE would last for 18 months, and what followed would be even worse. The road to Constantinople is crowded, filled with people from every corner of the land, all walking beneath a sky that no longer knows the warmth of the sun. Everyone around you wears the same hollow, sunken look, eyes glazed with exhaustion, faces marked by the same desperate hope that the great city ahead might offer salvation from this endless twilight that swallowed the world. Your family's small cart creaks and groans as you and your father pull it over the rutted, frozen road. Inside are the few belongings you own, and your mother, who twisted her ankle on the very first day of travel. The going is painfully slow. Look at them all, your father mutters, glancing toward the endless line of people trudging toward the city. The emperor's going to have his hands full, says a man walking nearby, catching the comment. If he even lets us in. I heard they're turning people away at the gates. Your father frowns deeply. They can't turn everyone away. The man just shrugs. The city can only feed so many mouths. The thought sends a chill through you, one that has nothing to do with the bitter cold. What if you make this long, painful journey, only to be turned back at the walls? As night falls, though it's almost impossible to tell day from night anymore, your family joins others making camp by the roadside. All around you, tiny fires flicker weakly against the gloom, their orange glow brighter than the hidden sun had been all day. The mood is grim. Few people have food to spare, and those who do guard it like treasure. Your mother winces as she examines her swollen ankle by the firelight. It's not getting better, your father says quietly. I can walk tomorrow, she insists, but the pain in her voice betrays her. An old woman from another group hobbles over, leaning on a stick. Got yourself a bad twist there, did you? She says, nodding at your mother's ankle. Without waiting for an invitation, she lowers herself beside your fire. I'm fine, your mother replies stiffly. Of course you are, the woman snorts. And I'm the Empress Theodora. She rummages through a small pouch at her waist and pulls out a few dried leaves. Here, willow bark, chew it. Tastes like horse piss, but it'll dull the pain. Your mother hesitates, then accepts the offering with a quiet nod of thanks. Been on the road 3 days, the woman continues, settling herself by the fire. Left when my son's family did. They've gone on ahead. Younger legs move faster. She gazes around at the scattered camps, dozens of small fires dotting the dark landscape. Never seen anything like this, she murmurs. Not in 70 years of living. The darkness, you mean? Your father asks. Or the cold, the failing crops? All of it, she replies. I've lived through 2 famines, seen winters so harsh even the wolves starved, but this... She gestures up at the sky, that eternal, unnatural blue-black twilight. This ain't nature, this is something else. When morning comes, if you can even call it that, the world only brightens from pitch black to a dusky blue. Your family sets out again. Your mother insists on walking, though she leans heavily on a stick. The old woman, who'd introduced herself the night before as Agatha, joins your little group. Safety in numbers, she says, though you suspect she just doesn't want to walk alone. By midday, the sight of Constantinople finally rises in the distance. Even through the haze, the city is magnificent. An endless wall of stone stretching across the horizon, taller than anything you've ever seen. Behind it, great domes and slender spires reach toward the dim sky, the crowns of palaces, churches, and towers you'd only ever heard about in stories. But something's wrong. The road leading to the main gate is clogged with people, hundreds, maybe thousands, all pressed together, waiting, and the gates themselves are sealed shut. A line of armored soldiers stands guard before them, unmoving, their helmets glinting faintly in the weak light. Your father stops in his tracks. That, he says quietly, his voice tight with worry, doesn't look good. As you draw closer to the city gates, the noise becomes deafening. Shouting, crying, desperate voices blend into a single roar of anger and fear. The crowd is furious, demanding to be let inside. A line of soldiers stands firm, shields raised, and spears ready. Citizens of the Empire only, one of them bellows through his metal helmet. By order of Emperor Justinian, show proof you're registered for the Annona, or turn back. You know that name, the Annona, the system that provides grain to registered citizens of the capital. Your family, simple farmers from the countryside, has no such registration. Your mother grips your father's arm, her face pale from both pain and fear. What do we do now? She whispers. Your father scans the scene, his brow furrowed as he thinks. After a long pause, he mutters, We need another way in. A smaller gate, maybe, or someone who can vouch for us. The harbor, Agatha says suddenly. Everyone turns to her. The harbor of Theodosius, she continues. My son works there, on the docks. If we can find him, he might help us. It's a slim chance, but in times like these, even a slim chance feels like hope. Your father nods, and your small group breaks away from the main road, circling west along the massive city walls. The detour takes hours, and by the time you reach the harbor, the dim daylight has faded into true night, though night barely means anything anymore in this endless twilight. The harbor is alive with chaos. Despite the late hour, ships are being unloaded under flickering lamplight. You can see them even through the gloom. Grain ships, their cargo more valuable now than gold. Workers swarm over the decks like ants, while armed soldiers stand watch, ensuring not a single sack goes missing. The air is filled with shouting, orders barked, ropes creaking, the clatter of barrels, and the desperate braying of animals being driven along the docks. How will we ever find your son in this? Your father asks, raising his voice over the din. His name's Demetrios, Agatha replies. He's a foreman here. Everyone knows him. Your father begins asking around, stopping dock workers as they rush past. Most ignore him, too busy or too afraid to speak to strangers. But finally, one man points toward a large warehouse near the far end of the pier. "Might be in there," he grunts, tallying the new shipment. Your father thanks him, slipping him a small piece of bread, a gesture that, in these times, means more than coins ever could. Your group hurries toward the warehouse. Inside, the air is warmer, thick with the smell of grain and sweat. Dozens of men haul heavy sacks under the glow of hanging oil lamps, their faint yellow light casting trembling shadows on the walls. "Demetrios," your father calls out. "We're looking for Demetrios." A burly man with a short beard looks up from a table, where he's marking tallies on a wax tablet. "Who's asking?" he says sharply. "We brought your mother," your father replies, gesturing to Agatha. The man's face softens immediately. "Mother?" He rushes over, sweeping the old woman into a tight embrace. "What are you doing here?" he asks, his voice trembling. "I told you to stay in the village." "The village is dying," Agatha says simply, her eyes tired but steady. "Everyone's leaving." Demetrios glances past her at your family, his expression heavy with exhaustion. "And these people? They helped me on the road," Agatha explains. "Good folks." Demetrios sighs, rubbing his forehead. "Mother, the city's overflowing already. There's barely enough food to go around, even with the emperor's grain ships from Egypt." He pauses, lowering his voice. "I don't even know how long that will last." 18 months of darkness. Crops failed, empires trembled, and millions faced hunger and fear, all under a sun that refused to shine. But humanity survived. The skies eventually cleared, and life went on, though the world would never be the same again. If you made it this far into the darkness, drop it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me next time as we uncover another moment in history that feels almost too unreal to be true.